Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. We came down here to help out Adam here in Miami Shores. This is Miami Beach area, and he's not here, but he's got the area marked with some white paint where he would like to dig. So let's take a look and see what he's doing here. So it looks like he's got several downspouts that need to be connected here. He's got one already installed. You can see he's got real nice little section coming out here with a pop-up, right out to the pop-up. Another one over here, brought it out here to the sidewalk. And the real problem here on this house, the original call, was the driveway. And looks like he decided to put a catch basin on this side, bring it out, and it's going to discharge right over here. And on this side, probably he's going to do the same thing. Rather than do a channel drain, looks like he's got slope coming off of the driveway on both sides. So it'll drop into the system, and you can see some of the stuff he's been going through there. A lot of pipes and wire and conduit, bringing it out here to the alley. Here in Miami, I've noticed when I've come down here to help him, Miami has alleys. Reminds me of Tampa, St. Pete, the older sections of the town right there. Got another downspout here in the back, right over here on this corner. You can see his white line. He's just bringing that right out here to the lowest point, out to the alley. Beautiful roofs here, the terracotta roofs. Water flies off of these roofs. They've got the oversized 6-inch gutter and oversized downspouts to handle all that. Typical home, probably built in the 50s, and just beautiful area. You can see the palm trees in the back showing you that this is Miami Beach. So here's another example of negative grade. Can you see from where I'm standing, it runs downhill to the front porch, just dramatically. And even the driveway here slopes, everything slopes over to the sidewalk. So this is a real typical scenario, across the country. That water comes off of the house and it tries to go somewhere, but it can't. And without the downspout drain, that water just pools up beside the house. So what we can do is bring that water from the front out there to the walk and get it away from the foundation. And it'll actually flow around the sidewalk and out away from the home. You can really see the slope coming from the street back this direction right here. So I got a text from Adam. He's getting some more gravel and he'll be here within the hour, I guess. We'll go ahead and get started. We can dig these downspouts out. Shouldn't take us too long to do. In fact, digging this side out right here took about 7 minutes. Something you guys can easily do yourself. I promise you, this is not that hard to do. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of taking that shovel, sinking it down in, feeling for sprinklers, because we don't know where the irrigation is here. And in fact, most people don't know where the irrigation is. So take your time, sink your shovel slowly. There is a lot of tree roots here, but if you take your time, you'll be able to find both the roots and the sprinklers. I think it took about 7 or 8 minutes to dig this trench completely. And whether you use a trencher or an excavator, what difference does it make? As long as you get that trench dug to the proper level and you're able to lay your pipe, that's just perfect. Before Chuck and I came down to help Adam, he had told me that there was coral and lots of roots and concrete. It was going to be a really hard dig, but we found out that it's not so bad. And it was just funny because we brought down a lot of extra things to dig through the coral, like the jackhammer and the hammer drill, things like that. We have a spade paddle that we put on the hammer drill, and it can break up lots of very thick things like clay or coral. So really the hardest thing about digging through tree roots is if you have an irrigation system, because you can see here's something, it's in an electrical conduit, but it lines up with the sprinklers. So that's probably the irrigation, but look how shallow that is. I mean, it's only a couple inches deep. And then we've got tree roots, and you see these roots? They're pretty big. So when you sink your shovel, sink it down slowly and then pry it up. If you hit something, explore it. And here's another tree root right here. I don't know if you can see that one, but there's a tree root right there. We can cut these roots with a shovel. See, comes right out. You don't need any special equipment, just a good sharp shovel. There is some rocks in here. Actually, I think it's mortar left over. This is mortar from that wall. So remember, I said I brought down all these extra things to dig through the coral. Well, there are some rocks in here, but the shovel can get underneath of that. It's just difficult to get it started. Once you get underneath of a rock or a piece of coral, you can pop it right out. And again, just mortar. Look at that. That's mortar from this wall. Been there for, what, 70 years? But that's really about it. We could go underneath of this tree root right here, because we're at the right depth. But not that bad of a dig. So you can see our downspout, short little line comes out here to the sidewalk. Obstacles. This is either power or, see, it very well could be irrigation, because it's right in line with a very shallow popped up irrigation. So maybe a handyman put it in, I don't know. But we just used the pry bar to bust up some of this concrete. And you can see we're at the perfect level to put our pop-up emitter right here. So the line will end right here and it just runs back. Real simple, easy job for the homeowner. I mean, there's some roots and there's some concrete, but I mean, it took what? I don't know, 5 minutes? So this plant is called a portocarpus. It's a very slow growing plant, but it's kind of cool because you can really shape it. Can you see how it's been shaped over the years? It puts out pretty good sized roots, as you can see. You're looking down here. This is how far Chuck's gotten in the same 5-6 minutes digging. He's clear down to here. And this line's, you know, almost ready to lay, but looking really good. Chop that root. There's one underneath of it. Important little things that you need to remember is here at the downspout, remember there was this elbow that sticks out. We don't want to hook onto the end of the elbow. We want to go straight down the wall and turn that pipe so that it looks aesthetically correct. We'll show you that here in a minute. But you can see that big old root right there. And he's almost out there where it discharges to the alley. I'd say another 10 minutes, he's got this side done. So Chuck made really quick work of this. You can see he actually found the irrigation lines amongst all the roots. And that's what I was showing you before. When you sink that shovel, just be careful. Pry up a little bit, see what it is before you start trying to really push on it. And you won't break anything. It's really that simple. But we've got a really nice trench. It's going to discharge right out there to the low spot there in the alley. And you can see where it's coming along this direction. Ties into the downspout. Remember, we're going to go straight down, and then we've got really good fall going all the way out to the alley. So Chuck's starting to dig the last trench here, and he's really making good work of it. He did find an old wall here. You can see a piece of it over there, but you can see the block down here. We'll have to chisel that out. But looking real good. He's about halfway through. Another sprinkler. You can see the roots. But he's really good about finding those sprinkler lines. Remember, all you have to do is sink your shovel, pry slowly. If you feel something, explore it before you start really pulling and chopping. It's really not that hard to do. This is Adam Thompson, and he is the owner of Apple Drain, South Florida. He services all of South Florida, both east and west coast. If you'll watch this next clip all the way through, I'm just going to let the camera run. I want you to see how meticulous Adam actually is in all the work that he does. It's just amazing. I love to watch him work.
Hey guys, Adam with Apple Drain, South Florida. Hanging out here with Chuck at this home in Miami Shores. We're doing some French drain and some gutter downspout drain lines. If you check it out over here, we've got this aluminum gutter downspout here. I'm going to put this adapter on, and then I'm going to connect this 4-inch corrugated drain line. So now on this one, we had a little metal bracket that was, keeping the metal gutter downspout up against the house and stopping it from moving around. I just trimmed the little wings off, pull it back a little bit. I'll insert my gutter downspout adapter, and I'll put one right here in the middle to hold it steady, make sure it's a little level. It's always nice to have some magnetic adapter. Pull that in. We'll do a couple on the sides, keep that from tilting, make sure it's level and even. So if it's bending down a little bit to the back, what you can do is you can start like a little pilot hole, and then you can pull it back a little bit, wait for it to sink into the metal, and then you can make it level. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Now if you've got maybe a metal roof and you've got tons of water coming down these things, there's only so much volume a downspout or adapter can hold, so you might see some water percolating out the sides. You could seal this all around if you wanted to with some like some flex tape, some rubberized flex tape if you wanted to. But at some point there's only so much you can do when you have a lot of volume coming down. Alright, that's nice and level. Now what I'll do is I'll also kind of bend these wings over to keep this rigid as well. I'll put a couple self-tapping screws to each side just to keep this whole thing from moving as well.
Get right here.
Thank you.
So I really like what Adam's doing here. Not only has he secured the downspout adapter all by itself, it's separate from the strap. And to be honest, I probably would have drilled through the strap, but this is even better. And like I said, the work that Adam does down here is just so superior to what I've seen everywhere else, and it's just wonderful to watch him work.
So now we've got a nice connection. It's all held in tight, it's all locked in, it's not going to move around. As you can see, that's not going anywhere. That's all in there nice and tight. Now also sometimes I'll trim the top of this corrugated drain line just to make a nice clean connection. And another thing, you guys want to maybe leave this stuff out in the sun. It gives it flexibility, pliability when you're moving it around, if you want to make corners, if you want to go around bends. If it's wrapped up in a coil and if it's cool or regular temperature, it's a little bit more rigid, but if it's out in the sun for even 10 minutes, this stuff heats up and gets a little softer and more pliable and easy to work with. This to sit as high up as we can, and then we'll step on the pipe so it can't drop down. And if we push up really hard and against the wall, put some pressure on the bottom, it won't drop back down. And then we'll seat a couple screws in there.
That's a magnetic plate on the Roby?
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
All right, so that thing's really in there well. And we'll get it down to the end here. Now this stuff can contract a little bit. So we want to have a little bit extra material in what we measure for, because we can always take off. We can't add as easy. So like I said, we can always take off more material if we need to, but adding another little piece on is more difficult, and then you have to use a little coupler or a little adapter here. So we'll click that in, as you can see. And before we put our screws in, we want to lay it down in the pipe, lay it down in the trench, and we'll compress it in a little bit. We'll push it in just a little bit. Make sure we're good. The dirt will push that down, but I like to have a little bit, just an extra inch more material, because it will expand and contract just a little bit. So that looks good right there. We'll make sure that's level, and we'll put our screws in, and we'll bury the pipe. Be good enough. Now it's clicked in there with these little retaining clips, but I like to put a couple extra screws in there. I like to go a little above and beyond. So what we'll do is we are gonna start burying this line. So we'll step on the line. You always want to make sure you step down on that line while you're burying it, because if not, the dirt will get up underneath the line, and then we'll lift your pipe up a little.
We just need some pressure to hold this down in place, and you don't need to have a great big area out here to, cut that grass. Just remember to cut the grass, you'll be fine. There we go. So that's ready to just completely backfill. So since we've got Chuck down here, we're going to let Adam move on to the next section and lay some more pipe, and Chuck will come back over here and cover all this up. So to backfill, remember to stay on that pipe, get some weight on it. Once you get the weight on there, then you can easily pick up your tarp, or you can use a rake, whatever you need to do. But really try to get some weight on that pipe so it looks good going down into the ground. Remember, aesthetics are important. So it's about 10:30 right now, and you can see the sun is out, you can see the shadows. And boy, look at Chuck, look how sweaty we are. This is Florida, guys. And I mean, it's 10:30 in the morning. It's 100% humidity. I believe right now it's 91 degrees. By this afternoon, it'll be 94. Still 100% humidity. It is just amazing how warm and humid it stays down here. So with two people, it's a little easier. You can get it started under your tree roots and your sprinklers. The other person pulls it, but you can see it just makes it so much easier to pull and push that pipe all the way down through your trench. So one person's feeding it, the other person is just pulling that pipe. You pull out more than you need, but you can always cut it off. There we go. Nice. So once again, Adam's doing such meticulous work. Hard to get in here because we've got that porta-carpus right beside us. But not only has he secured that downspout adapter, but he's also going to secure the strap separately from that. It just makes it so much more secure. And I think Adam's right-handed.
Oh yeah.
So you can see he's trying to do that with his left hand. Piece of cake. So he's going to secure all those and the downspout strap. You can see the pipes all laid down through the trench. Looking really good. Good fall. And down here, I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do. I think he's putting a pop up here as well, and he'll have a little riser to bring that up to grade. So we're out here at the end of the line. Chuck's been covering as we go. And that's about ready to pull those tarps off of there, looking really good. Line comes down. Adam's going to go ahead and put a nice sweeping elbow on here, which is always a nice thing when you create your own pop-up. Handy dandy 20 volt, or is it 18?
This is an old one, 18. This one's
18.
probably 12 years old.
So many people used to comment about my little 12-volt drills, but you know what? It amazed me as the crew would always say, don't you ever charge these things? And I never charged them, I mean for months at a time. And the little 12-volt battery works so good. The 20-volt battery, 18-volt, they work great too. So this downspout line is complete. We've got it all secured. Chuck and Adam are covering it. Next and the final one is out front. Let's go take a look.
Ooh, should feel the heat coming out of this.
I can imagine. It's warm.
Like a vent, like a heating vent.
Adam just said so much heat's coming out. Oh my gosh, yeah. Just the convection of hot air coming out of the end of this pipe. That's how hot it is out here, you guys. It is super hot, super hot. So Adam's gonna finish up this connection, and you can see how the pipe lays out. Same thing he did out back. Go underneath that sprinkler, come out, and put the pop-up out here at the end of the line, and that's really about it. And we showed you where he's working on the driveway. Chuck and I have to head back up to Orlando. We came down to help him out. Hopefully helped him out by giving him a little bit of free labor and getting the video for everybody too. So you can see that's at a perfect level, and that pop-up emitter is going to sit right on there. We secure that. And just remember to make sure that you edge around that. Have your lawn guy do that if you don't do it. But just make sure you edge around that, and you'll never have any problems with that pop-up, I promise.
Hey guys, Adam with Apple Drain, South Florida. Wanted to thank Chuck Jr. for coming on down here and helping me out at this house in Miami Shores.
This job was actually only about 2 miles from that condo that collapsed down here in Miami on the beach. And I actually drove over there to try to get some video for everyone, but the whole area is blocked off, cordoned, it's just, you can't get anywhere near that area. And but our hearts go out to all the victims of that condo.